Welcome, everybody, to TalkSped. Today, I am super excited to have my friend as a guest, Tanu Kohli. Tanu is a principal at a public school district here in the Bay Area with the Alum Rock School District. The school is approximately 350 students, serving from ages transitional kindergarten through fifth grade. And Tanu and I were together in the administrative credential program. So I do know that she has a very solid background in special education. And now, with her role as principal, she uses her talent in multiple ways. So I'm going to let Tanu talk a little bit more about her current position and her creative things that she's doing. Welcome, Tanu.
Thank you, Namita. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a great honor. For me, we are, like you said, a 350 student population school. We do serve students with special needs. So I have 3 classes of special day class students. So approximately 30 students in all, plus we also have a resource specialist program and speech only program on our campus as well. So a good mix of gen ed and special ed students on campus.
Right. With the pandemic in the second year, I know we were discussing earlier that there is a high need of social emotional, well-being of our students. And can you highlight a little bit more about what you're seeing?
Right. So coming back this second year from distance learning has been incredibly challenging for the students. Not just special ed students, we are noticing challenges even in our general ed population. Specifically in the special ed population, we are noticing a lot of aggressive behavior, a lot of tantrums, biting, kicking of the staff. And what we are noticing in the gen ed population, it's more of a lot of anxiety coupled with suicidal ideations, quite a huge increase from all these years that I've seen in our students in 3rd through 5th grade. We are also seeing, of course, a declining enrollment throughout our district, but at the same time, we are also seeing not so much of a decline in enrollment in our special ed population. In fact, even now that we are 3 months away from summer break, we are still continuing to assess and qualifying students for our autism program. So, yeah.
I know it has been very challenging in that sense for our students, because they've not had this 2-year gap, of the old model of education where it has not existed. Distance learning was very different, and that is you're so right about the increase in the aggressive behavior, because just even coming back from the December break, there was an increase in the behavior issues, and at our district, I know we really had a safety care training program conducted by behavior therapists and our mental health service providers. And with these programs, we're really helping our staff get more attuned with what are some safety and behavior management strategies that they can use for specific students who are having these crises, and make it more catered to sites and the students that they're working with. And as educators, I don't know how many of our teachers and staff are prepared for such, are prepared to deal with such safety care and social, emotional, or mental health crisis, but when they are arising, like you said, young students with, suicidal ideation. So that's really heartbreaking, and at the same time, a tough job for administrators to move forward with. So could you tell me, are there some other projects that you are involved in at your school site?
So yes, so this year specifically, we changed the focus of our school. So right now we are an environmental justice and sustainability school with a huge focus on social emotional learning for students. Our goal is to have our students learn through the garden, and what we find in just these short months that we have started implementing it, are children with special needs naturally gravitating towards the garden when they're having a hard time. It just tends to somehow calm them down, working in the soil, just even pulling weeds out, right? We are using our garden and the work in our garden also as one of the ways that we are creating opportunities for kids to have inclusion. So it becomes a very collaborative kind of place where children are working together and learning how to manage their emotions, work with each other, and it's been a wonderful experience.
That's amazing, Tanu. I think that is such a good and creative way of bringing inclusive environment, as well as really nurturing the social emotional health of your students. So that is what you're doing for students. Are there other things that you're addressing? How are you investing for the social emotional health of your staff?
Very, very needed, right? Coming back from the pandemic, the social emotional need for students was definitely there, but there was also a huge need for the staff. So I'm very proud to be working in a district where district-wide we're implementing the book called Onwards. It's by Elena Aguilar, and it talks about building resiliency among individuals. So we are working through that book as a management team and then bringing it back to our staff. For me specifically, I open all my staff meetings with breathing, just making sure that we are centering our emotions and being present for the work that we are going to be taking on. In addition to these two things, the district has a social emotional department where we have qualified people running those departments. And, as a staff, if we have any needs, we too can call in. It's of course there for the students, but they are way more welcoming with the staff as well to come and, just talk whatever you're going through, and they help you through your stuff as well.
That's great. I'm glad that you're addressing both for students as well as for your staff at your site. Social emotional health, of course, became a highlight for us as we learn and adjust through the pandemic. So, as administrators, as educators, we all have to learn how to do self-care as well as take care of our students' social emotional health. Tell me, over the past 2 years, coming back from distance learning to now in-person learning, what are some things that you have been able to continue, or how, as an administrator, how do you see things that are being carried over and really still being used when you come back, and changes that you're making to your education system?
So one thing that was instituted by State of California, I would like to say, for all school districts during the pandemic, was making sure that the children's social emotional needs are met. We all through last year had 20 minutes of morning meeting included in the lesson plan last year. So we haven't given that up. We continue to use our morning meetings, and we are implementing a social emotional program which is called Kimochis at our school, giving the children the tools that they need to identify their emotions, talk about their emotions, and to help solve what they're trying to go through or trying to deal with. The other thing that we really, teachers invested a lot of time in, and we as well, was technology. Mindfully and intentionally implementing technology in the classrooms. We are one-to-one with devices with our students, so students are able to take the device home and just continue with the learning. The school day doesn't stop at 3 o'clock, right, when the bell rings. It continues on, and the learning continues. So we're very proud to implement these two things going post-pandemic as well.
Yeah, no, very well said, Tanu. I think technology is the backbone of education at this point. That is something we all learned through distance learning. And, as educators, as administrators, I think we are all still trying to figure out, how to manage the emotional health as well as make our students resilient with academic gaps that we have given the time of distance learning. So, it is a very interesting, innovative time for administrators and educators as we, really think through, is it important to do things the same way that we did prior to the pandemic? So, we are in this system of change right now, as I see, and I think all whether you're an administrator or a teacher in the classroom or a paraeducator or a parent, you really have to question and really see the importance of some of the things that were done previously, right? So I really wish, and I'm really so glad that you've shared some of your creative ways of involving and helping your students and your staff, and hopefully there's a takeaway for some of our audience today. Thank you for your time and sharing with us your knowledge.
Thank you so much, Namita.